Chairman Coons, thank you. Thank you to our witnesses who care so much about this topic. I guess Ambassador Beasley, Secretary or Governor Beasley, Yemen. It was talked about Afghanistan. A lot of unsavory individuals who control most of the populous parts of Yemen. How has the cooperation been with the Houthis, and what worries you with those countries going forward?
Senator, I've had some very frank conversations with the Houthis. I was just there a month and a half ago meeting with the Houthi leadership, and I know you probably recall back when I was pretty tough on the coalition about the blockade in Haditha, and really was, in fact, 60 Minutes did a story then that helped break up the issue of the blockade in Haditha because we couldn't get food supplies in, and that's a country that relies on 90%, 85, 90% of all its food comes from the outside. And so when I was pretty hard on the coalition, and that broke apart in terms of allowing the blockade to be set aside and food came in, the Houthis were just so excited and patting me on the back. Thank you, you're our friend. I said, look, I'm not doing this because I'm on your side. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. And I said, and if you cross that line too, I probably shouldn't say what I said to them here, but anyway, the bottom line, I said, I'm going to kick your rear end too, that kind of thing. And they kind of laughed about it. Well, a couple years later, we had some serious issues with regards to many of our provisions in place to move food out there and neutral impartiality to reach the beneficiaries with independence. We had significant issues. So I went and sat down with them and said, let me be very clear. We don't have enough money right now to feed everybody in the world. And our donors want to make certain that every dollar is maximized to reach the most people possible. And so when what you're doing in diverting our aid and creating all these unnecessary obstacles, there's no way that we can get the funding we need to help the people in Yemen. And we want to be able to do it in a neutral, impartial, independent way. I actually made the decision to cut off all food supplies for about 1 million people for about a month. It was a hard decision, but with diversion taking place, otherwise I'd be participating in diverting food from innocent children over here to help, and this is where we're facing today. We're having to take, for lack of money, food from hungry children to give to starving children. That's horrible. So it was quite remarkable. The Houthis didn't think there was anyone in the United Nations, I think, would actually do that. We made that hard decision, and they were at the table within a few weeks, and we resolved it, and things have moved incredibly better since then. That doesn't mean it's all perfect. Anytime you're dealing with these types of places, it's tough, but the cooperation has remarkably improved inside Yemen. But there's still a lot of issues there.
Is there attention being paid, and this, perhaps it's to you again, Governor, attention being paid to the countries that are enacting protectionist policies to keep the food they grow within their country? And is there something that you, the United States of America, the United Nations, need to be doing to encourage it? It drives up the cost and makes it more difficult for us to meet the needs of hungry people elsewhere.
We faced this in COVID in a remarkable way. A lot of ministers of different governments, of economies and trade were doing lockdowns, shutdowns, border controls, limitations on import-exports, and it was creating havoc. So I was on the phone, particularly those first 6 months, and my teams were on the phone saying, let me explain to you what's going to happen. You shut down this port right now, or you put this limitation at this stage. Here's what's going to happen the next 3-6 months. And so we were able to really avert a lot of the complications from those types of restrictions. Now we're seeing that bubbling again, and I think not just us, but everywhere we see it, we try to make a phone call, explain, please don't do this, here's what's going to happen, talking to the Secretary General and others in the United Nations, as well as talking to our friends like in the United States to say, please call this particular government leader to minimize these types of issues. And so that's one of the
Actions are being taken.
Actions are being taken, but you got to be on top of it literally every day.
Let me quickly, in the last minute or so, raise the topic of ready-to-use therapeutic food, RUTF. 2 countries, I think, South Sudan and Ethiopia, have already requested RUTF through the Bill Emerson Humanitarian Trust. Do you support including funding for RUTF via the Bill Emerson Trust, the Emergency Supplemental Package, or annual appropriations to ensure that this life-saving product gets into the hands of those who need it most?
Yes, sir. The Emerson Trust is a godsend right now with the crisis that we're facing. If you don't use it now, I don't know when you would use it, and so we're 100% supportive.
Thank you. Ms. McKinney, anything to add, or?
No, nothing to add.
Thank you, Chairman.